Earlier I said, I mentioned I only consume things, whether if it is mental or physical or spiritual, based on what's going to serve me in that present moment the best, and also at the same time setting myself up for future progress. And sometimes for me, it's I was born and raised on the pizza diet on Friday nights, and that was like my routine, and that's kind of like at times my spoiling sanity food. And what's interesting is it kicks me back into a really even better routine right afterwards, because I got this stimulus and this reward, and I feel great, and I go right back to it the next day, and I'm back in gear. But I think a lot of people struggle with the balance in that, and how to reward yourself, but then how to get right back on the horse. And I call it the 80-20 lifestyle. If you can really practice 80% with embodying the practice, then the other 20% will just take care of itself in the long run.
Totally. Yeah. And trying to be too rigid with yourself will only backfire.
Yeah.
I think everyone experiences that at some point in their journey. So you're right. It's finding that balance, and when we talk about discipline, not thinking of discipline as something that is like locking you down and forcing yourself to do something. When we take disciplined actions, those are actions that we take to allow ourselves to experience more freedom. Discipline is not an action of restriction. It's an action because we're choosing to experience more freedom. It might be challenging at first because you're used to doing something else, and you have to use a little more discipline and willpower to not do that thing because you're switching to another rhythm, another way of being. But once you're in that groove, it's something that gives you more freedom, and that's why we do it. So discipline in a lighter way, and getting accountability buddies, and realizing that, I'm making this choice so that I can be free, not restricted.
Yeah, I think I love that you touch on that, because discipline creates systematic efficiency, and that ultimately frees up. Efficiency will always free up more time and energy for you. So initially, I go back to, again, those 4 stages of competency and what that means. And initially, it may be a chore and it may be a task, but ultimately, as you've rewired and reprogrammed yourself, it sets more freedom for yourself through that efficiency. And it's no different than having a business that's set up on systems versus one that's not. It's just what's happening today. I don't know, And that comes back to that intentional living and being consciously aware of trying to find the right steps, and if you don't have them, being able to seek it out. And that comes back to, I'm going to swirl back around to that whole, what I call the Omega man, or the modern man, and being able to drop the ego to be able to pick up the phone and make the call when you need to, and being able to identify, even being able to, let's back up one more step, self-identify when these things are coming up, having enough security in yourself that you can actually admit those challenges or issues, and then be able to take that next step. And I know you have, through your story, grew up kind of a little bit rougher and had to find some points where you turned to things that really helped you. Your story of how you found Jiu Jitsu and yoga, and talk to me a little bit about that, because I think it plays into all of this. And
so in many ways, I had a lot of freedom growing up, which was cool, and I'm really grateful for that. But what was also in my life a lot was intense insecurities, intense unhealthy habits, and a lot of violence and anger and internal struggle that came from that. By the time I was 16, my favorite thing to do was get drunk. Like, I knew I would say that to myself. I'm like, I just love being drunk. It's all I want to do is drink. And obviously that's indicative of a lot of emotional imbalance when I'm not drunk, right? And when I am drunk, right? Getting in crazy drunk fights, hurting myself, hurting other people. And by the time I was 20, I grew up playing a lot of sports. I was an athlete, so got really into football for 6 years, from 7th grade till a senior in high school. I was just all about football. And when I wasn't playing football, my friends and I were either fighting each other or we were getting drunk and getting in fights with other people. And I felt like if some guy looked at me wrong, I had to prove myself and kick his ass in the hallway or at the party, or which, inevitably things escalating to even more crazy situations. But by the time I was 20, I felt like I was 60. Just and the pain pill, and I ate fast food. I probably ate Taco Bell and Wendy's were my 2 meals of the day, like almost every day. I probably drank 6+ Dr. Peppers a day. So my friends and I would hang out and drink big 24 packs of soda during the day, and we drink 24 packs of beer at night, and we'd eat fast food and never thought a thing about it, right? And I'd wonder why every morning I'd wake up feeling like shit, not understanding why. And I thank God for sports, because I would have been so diabetic, and just like that's what kept me at least lean and healthy, and being a young guy, just always active along with all that stuff. So by the time I was 20, just feeling like I was 60, like chronic back pain, my body hurt, I was angry all the time, I was depressed, I was insecure, and I just was like, finally I became sick of myself. I became sick enough of myself that I was like, I can't keep living like this. I got to do something about it. And it was Jiu Jitsu that helped me gain that awareness. Growing up, you just randomly in shows or wherever, you see these images of martial artists meditating. You see like the monk martial artist meditating. And I started thinking, well, now I train Jiu Jitsu, and I've seen these images of martial artists meditating. What's this meditation thing about? So it was something clicked in me, and then I said, I'm going to try that out. And I started 5 minutes a day meditating. And then I started reading more books about spirituality that really just opened my mind. I grew up Christian too, and none of that made any sense to me. And so I started opening up spiritually when I was a young adult. And putting all of that together just over time, got in that more and more, made some more shifts, started reading about nutrition. Like, okay, if I want to be an athlete, I also need to study nutrition so that I can perform the best, because I wasn't studying nutrition before. And pro athletes, they've got nutritionists. I can't afford a nutritionist, so I better figure it out myself. So just starting to educate myself around all of that. And as I stepped forward educating myself, other teachers and mentors and coaches started showing up in very synchronistic ways. And ever since then, it's just been the journey that I'm on, is finding that balance around healing and how to actually experience the life I want to be experiencing, and how to evolve spiritually.